Good morning, everybody. It's 8 a.m. on the East Coast, so that can only mean one thing. It's time for Noble with Bryan every Thursday here on the Next Level Broadcasting. Wake up to the Vibe Network. So happy you all could join me today. I am so excited to see and hear from you all. We've got an exciting show today. We're going to talk a little bit about the labor market. I've been getting a lot of questions about understanding gold, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit, as well as the U.S. dollar and really what's going on with that. And then we're going to close it out with a very special guest, Katya Gorbacheva. She is a personal trainer as well as a bodybuilder, also enters competition. So I'm excited to hear a little bit about her story when she can join us. Hopefully she can step away from her training and join us for a little bit. But with that, let's really get started and dig into it. So what I want to show you first is just the latest on the labor market and what's going on, specifically looking at July. And that's really where I want to keep my context at. So a key driver of consumer spending, which is the dollars that me and you spend, is just the health of the labor market. You're working, you're spending. Makes complete sense. Very simple. And what we saw in the second quarter, if you look to the far right of this, is unemployment rose sharply in the second quarter from a 50-year low. So you see that big spike right there at the end. We also added 1.76 million jobs in July. So that is a great sign, actually, better than expected. And it shows there is a recovery taking form despite the setbacks that we're seeing. And you could probably name 10 or 20 that are just you're experiencing alone, but we are hopefully seeing some definitely signs of recovery. So the gains are starting to be seen, but there is definitely a long road ahead. Unemployment is still higher than it was in 09. And if you look at this chart, you can see those gray bars. Those are times we had recessions. So what that tells me is we are still in need of some relief measures from the government. There still is financial relief needed. So hopefully Congress, the president, the government can really get it together and give us some relief measures here to really help us with this unemployment measure that we're seeing. Like I said, the other thing that people were looking at is the U.S. dollar. It is weakening. It has been weakening, and this is a chart that's going to kind of illustrate that some for you. Investors like myself and those I work with like to pay close attention to the dollar because, again, it's another key driver in how businesses perform. It impacts interest rates as well as just inflation that we see, which shapes the future returns of the markets. Inflation is a concern because steep inflation weakens the purchasing power of your dollar. And the same for you is seen with companies as well. The more dollars it costs to buy their resources and products that they need, the lower the returns they're going to see, which in turn lowers the price per share. This chart you're seeing is a CPI or consumer price index. So again, just want to get some terms out there. So if you hear them, you know what you're looking at. And it is a common measure of inflation. As you can see, the 2% bar is typically where we try to stand at. Stimulus and debt contribute to this deflation that we saw, which also caused 10-year Treasury bonds their lowest level on record. And again, that's something that you've probably seen on your interest rates, on your checking and savings accounts, or just looking for different ways to put your money. There aren't great interest rates out there if you're investing your money. And finally, I wanted to talk about gold before we brought Katya in, just because, like I said, I've been getting this at my office a lot. What about gold? We are seeing a gold rally about 17% lately because of the dollar slumping. People go to gold when they're worried about inflation kind of rearing its ugly head. And it really performs well when inflation is unexpected. So therefore, there's extreme volatility with gold if you follow it. So what I want to talk about is some other commodities that you may have heard of: oil, copper, and coal. These are actual commodities that have a supply and demand associated with them. They are mined or harvested to actually be used, and they have some kind of purpose. Gold actually just remains in circulation once it's mined. It's really just used for companies to buy things, to expand their operations or buy more products. So it's not mined for supply demand issues. It's actually just mined to sell. It lacks any cash flow or any industrial use. So therefore, that's why it's hard to value, and that's why you see a lot of volatility with gold. So I'm going to compare that with silver and platinum. These are the other precious metals that we can look at as well. You can see they're very similar in volatility. They're all over the place. So what I'm going to recommend for you this week, so you're aware, is just really look for a broad-based commodity if you're looking for precious metals and commodities in some kind of ETF or mutual fund. And just make sure that's no more than 5% of your portfolio. It can really help at times, but you don't want to be too aggressive in this category. So my takeaway, focus on long-term drivers of returns. That is the economic and the corporate fundamentals of the company you are investing in. So if you focus on those, I promise you're going to make great decisions with the companies you're investing in, as well as your future returns that you will see. So that was our little lesson for the day. Hopefully I instilled some knowledge on you. Again, I wanted to remind you, don't miss all the shows on the network. We've got Joe coming up tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., followed by Keith and his new sports show at 8. We're going to see if any of those can join us today to tell us a little bit more, but I know it sounds like they got some pretty exciting guests coming up. So with that, I am going to see if Katya is ready to jump in on this call with us and talk to her a little bit and get a little bit of her backstory. So I'm glad you're joining us, and let's bring her on here. Hey, Katya.
Hey, good morning, Bryan.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's it going?
Good. Really nice breakdown. Oh, there's my dog joining us.
Nice. Well, we've got two special guests today, right?
This is Tara.
Hi, Tara. So I am glad you could join us. Like I said, I'm really excited to have you, and I know my audience is as well.
Thank you. I was really excited you invited.
Oh, yes. You have a unique story to tell and an amazing one. So first, let's just start out with my audience that's listening right now. Just tell them a little bit about you and what you're doing, and kind of, like I said, just a little background so they can kind of get a little understanding of what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So where do I start? Well, today in the coronavirus 2020 world, I am a personal trainer, and unfortunately an online one. I used to train in person back in the day when that was possible. Maybe one day we'll do that again. But essentially, my objection is to train women and make sure that they have the tools to make themselves stronger, emotionally and physically, healthier, and they know how to exercise properly without getting injured. I myself struggled with not knowing what to do with the gym, not knowing how to lose fat, how to gain muscle, and putting everything together. So I've developed a program to help ladies do the same. We have a team of 7 amazing coaches. If you go to totalbodylab.com, you'll see who's up there. It's from pharmacists to me, competitive bodybuilder and powerlifter, to Russian elite powerlifter Alexei, to calisthenics and pole dancing. So we kind of try to cater to a broad audience, but mainly focusing on, I mainly focus on girls, some other guys focus on other things. So that's what it ended up being after a couple years of trial and error. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a unique perspective of, you're not just giving people routines, you're looking at the complete picture. You've got, you're looking at diet, fitness, medications they're taking, pretty much the whole picture.
So yeah, actually the app that we have developed has, like you said, it has analytics that allows us to connect, nutrition, how a person sleeps and rests and recovers, and what they do for exercise, and they can message us anytime with any issues. So right now, I think we have almost 50 clients who all have very, very different goals. There's really not like one type of client that we take, but if somebody's dedicated and wants to improve their health and learn something about the gym, then we should connect.
That's great stuff. So yeah, so if anybody has any questions as we're going through this, throw them in the comments. I'd be happy to ask them on your behalf. But I kind of want to pull a little string here on something you mentioned of working with females only. And I know just kind of my perspective, back at times was what you're doing is sometimes considered male dominated or can be intimidating for women. So let's just talk a little bit about your success and kind of bridging that gap and showing that it's for everybody. It's not a male world at all.
It's actually really funny. So even though I have grown up in Russia, which is a more traditional patriarchal society, I guess my dad was a bodybuilder and he was a businessman. So he raised me as like, you can do whatever you want, girl. So not in the special type of snowflake that Melina is raised here, but in terms of like, break all the glass ceilings, don't pay attention to whatever people say. So when I came here 10 years ago to Duke, to college, I was an engineer. There was probably a quarter of the girls there, so I kind of got used to that. Then I joined commercial construction field as a construction manager. There's, I think, 3% of women in construction. So I joined a field where there's even less women, and I felt fine. So after that, the fitness industry actually seemed pretty female dominant to me, even though, I mean, it's not. In comparison to construction, there's a lot more girls here. And especially if you go on Instagram, everybody's an influencer posting the pics in their, favorite leggings and swimming suits. And I realized that I just, regardless if it's a male or female dominated field, I have a unique perspective to show folks. And that doesn't really apply. How many of females and males are there?
But I think you touched on something that I hear all the time from people starting their own business or kind of taking that plunges. It sounds like you went with your gut, though. You said, you were in one career and you said, I see this need and I have this passion. I really want to just do it. And that's something I see as a common thread.
Yeah, I've stuck with construction for a while because I really believe that everybody in my family is engineers. I got to make a good engineer, build houses. We renovated the Duke Nobel Prize Winners Lab, renovated Wade Stadium. Those were fun projects, but they take a toll on you. And I just realized my only, my temple is the gym. I come there and I just feel like myself and I don't want to leave. So, those smart people say, oh, make your hobby your job. Do what you can do without people paying you money. If you can do that forever and people pay you money, you'll never work a day in your life. First, that's some crazy stuff. Don't believe that. You still need to organize yourself, and you will find, right now, I'm organizing a team. Yes, I coach, but if I just did what I liked, I would have never made a successful company. So don't believe that, but knowing when to be patient and when to be impatient kind of lets me power through it. And that's what let us pivot so much, because first I was training in person, then we launched an app. Now I have a team. It works completely differently than when I'm training everybody individually. So, yeah.
So that's a great, I think, segue, talking about planning and strategy. I plan and strategize every day with investments. What do we invest in next? What should we buy? Should we sell? That's what I do. And I think that's the same as a business owner. We kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, talking about planning, strategy. How does that change? Does it change? Do you just stick with the same thing? And especially during this COVID time, how did you adapt? Or, what advice can you give to a business owner that might be struggling right now?
Ooh, what advice? Make sure, plan for the worst case scenario. Don't expect the worst case scenario, but be ready, and then don't be surprised when it actually happens. So when I was training in person, I realized that's not sustainable and that's not scalable. And I knew it from the get-go. I was just kind of doing it to get by in the first couple months of business. But then when I've developed an app, I made sure it was easy to learn for other trainers. I could add other trainers so they could add their folks. They could create their own program. So it was not designed just for me. It was designed, and even the name of my company, Total Body Lab, it's not Katya Gorbacheva Fitness. Coaches who call the company's name, last name Fitness, what are you thinking? I'm sorry, but make it scalable, make it memorable, make it useful, and make it last, and be prepared for anything. So make yourself bulletproof.
So yeah, as far as your planning though, did that change over the course? Were you constantly reevaluating your plans and strategies?
Yes, we were probably when around March. Well, I was supposed to compete in 2 bodybuilding shows. I went a division up. I did bikini last year, and I was doing fitness this year. I was going to do figure this year. So that was supposed to be a huge marketing boost. So my whole marketing campaign was shut down. Essentially, our ads on Facebook shut down. Nobody cared about them. Everybody watched COVID news. So we had to take on a new marketing strategy. I had to hire a marketing person. And then they also were, I mean, they were shocked. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't do what they were best at because of everything going on. So we just had to kind of huddle and reshuffle everything. And by trial and error, we changed the strategy probably like 20 times. So what I say is don't be afraid to experiment and take ample notes on what works and what doesn't, and analyze your decisions. So if you have a good way to like sit down at the end of the day and kind of say, okay, I spent so many hours on this and so many hours on that, and that's what results these things led to, you can see what's working and what's not. So if you do that by day, by week, then you'll definitely, there's no way you won't be successful.
Yeah, definitely. You heard it from her as well. People plan for the unexpected. It will occur. The unexpected always happens. And have a strategy, and don't be afraid to change it based on the data you're receiving when those different opportunities arise. So great advice to give to people in anything, not just a business, investing, life itself. I definitely wanted to get in though too. I think there's, I came from healthcare originally as well. So I think there's a huge correlation between health and finance. I think they are intertwined more than people realize. And I wanted to kind of get your take on just how personal fitness and health relates to finance.
I've read a couple of articles in the last couple of days. One of my good friends sent them to me that overweight women take a more toll, take a more salary cut if the larger that they are. I think there's an article from Forbes, and it's posted in my Instagram if you want to check that out. It's at Gorbacheva E. So it's one of the latest posts. That made me really infuriated. And then overall, I think larger people, like if men are moderately overweight, doesn't take a toll on their salary, but if they're more and more overweight, closer to obese, then it does. And I think for the average numbers were for $14,000 to $19,000 a year, but they're different sources. So go and check for yourself. Don't trust me. See what you can Google. And regardless what those numbers are, you should just focus on taking care of yourself, and the better salary and the better perception, first impression of you will definitely serve you well. In terms of, I actually sent this out in a newsletter a couple of days ago saying we're going to talk about finance related stuff with you, Bryan. And one of my subscribers responded. She was very unhappy. She said that I shouldn't be judging people who are larger and this and this. And I was like, look, I don't care how you treat your body and what you look like, but other people will judge you. And if you're willing to take chances with your finances and health later, which also go to the hospital more, take more chances with finances, if you're willing to do that, like, that's on you. I'm just here to provide you the articles that say this is on average how people treat people who look larger or people who look unhealthy. There was also one of those articles. So don't give them a chance. Don't give them any chances. If you're working for an employee, if you're working for a corporate company, to in any way make your salary less, make you less valuable.
Yeah. I think, it's unfortunate we live in an environment where appearance can impact so many different things unfairly, but it is a good thing to consider. Just another thing that needs change in the world. But I'm a big proponent of health, just being healthy. And not only does it impact, like you said, maybe a job interview or anything like that, but insurance rates and, like you said, future complications. Those are big things to think about. So, as we kind of wrap it up with you today, I want to be sure you get your information out to everybody. If there's anybody interested in potentially working on fitness, health, finding out a little bit more about you, signing up for your newsletter, how can we get a hold of you?
Thank you. So the website is at the bottom. It's totalbodylab.com. If you go in there, you should be able to read a little bit about myself and some other coaches. There's a recipe blog. There's a exercise blog. So whatever the information you're looking for, if it's not there, shoot me a message. There's a way to contact me through the website. There's an application for coaching, or just leave a comment kind of thing. But I think the easiest way to get on me is message me on Facebook or Instagram, which Facebook is, you just go on Facebook and put in Total Body Lab, and it will open the Katya Gorbacheva page. And Instagram is at Gorbacheva E, so my last name and letter E. It used to be a personal Instagram, and the Total Body Lab Instagram just has testimonials. So if you want to see client testimonials before and afters, then you go there. But in any way, if you have whatever the fitness related questions, then I am obviously happy to answer. And let me know that you heard about me through this podcast, and I'll give you a discount for the first month.
Nice. So there you go. Finances, people. You've just saved some money on your next fitness membership and training. Katya, before I let you go, I have to ask you, what's the best piece of financial advice that you believe you've received to date?
Ooh.
And I want to see in the comments, everybody, let me hear what you guys think as well. What's the best piece of advice that you guys have received over your years?
Probably work on your credit, because I never had debt. After I came here, I got grants for college, and I thought I don't borrow money ever. It's not my thing.
Don't be a slave to the lender. Yes.
Yeah, I realized I couldn't even rent a car without having credit. It made me infuriated. So because of this mentality that I don't ever want to borrow money, I couldn't succeed. I couldn't buy a house later. I couldn't do any of the other things that I wanted to do. So work on your credit, even if you're really finance savvy.
Yes, work on your credit, but try not to have debt. So I think that those are actually two great pieces of advice that you gave. All right, Katya, I appreciate you taking the time out of the gym this morning or training somebody to join us and chat a little bit. If there's anything me or my audience can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. Thanks, Katya.
Thank you, Bryan.
Bye. All right, everybody. So as we wrap up today, like I said, I wanted to keep it under a half hour so you guys could enjoy your third or fourth cup of coffee, as I know I am ready for mine. But before I do that, I want to bring on Keith. He is going to talk to us a little bit about what's coming up on the show tomorrow, to give you a little teaser on what you can expect. Like I said, it looks like a great one, but I'll let him explain it more. So Keith, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Bryan. How are you?
Good.
Great job so far. I want to congratulate you on your first couple shows. Well done.
Thank you.
And it's been an exciting time and a whirlwind these last few weeks. I'm sure you're feeling the same thing. So
it has.
And thanks to Joe Altieri at Wake Up to the Vibe for starting this whole ball rolling. Tomorrow we've got former Major League infielder Greg Pryor on the show. He's got a book out called The Day the Yankees Made Me Shave. He was actually a Yankee farmhand back in the 70s. Never actually made it to the Yankees, and that story is very interesting in itself. But he had a pretty good career with the White Sox and the Royals for 10 years. Was part of the 1985 World Champion Royals. So he's got some great stories to tell, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow. He's a character, and like I've said in a couple of posts, in the best sense of the word. I've had a couple of conversations with him now on the phone, and he just kills me. He put me through quite a vetting process, actually, on the show. So
yeah, what are you thinking of these NHL playoffs going on right now, man?
It's wild.
I didn't think that game was going to end the other day.
I believe it was the longest game in NHL history, if I'm not mistaken. Being a Ranger fan, I'm a little disappointed they went out so quickly, but not terribly unexpected. And I'm glad that they're not having any problems with the COVID situation, as they continue their season. The NBA's done it very well. The NHL's done it very well. MLB, they've had some problems, but they've worked through it and kind of been fluid with the schedule and kept it, fairly smooth, except for a couple of teams. I think the Cardinals are going to start back up tomorrow, so everybody will be playing.
Yeah, good to get some sports back, but you want to make sure everybody stays safe. So,
well,
Keith,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on and giving us a little taste of what you got tomorrow. What time can they catch you again?
We are at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. TGI Sports Talk with Keith Engel. My guest is Greg Pryor. We're immediately following Joe Altieri and Wake Up to the Vibe.
And speaking of Joe Altieri, I just happened to see him. He has entered, so I'm going to actually bring him in here as well.
Hey.
Look who it is. Yeah, we've got guests everywhere now. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Hello, Joe.
Good. I seem to be having some audio issues. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, you're not bad.
All right. Oh, how about this?
That would help. Always use the microphone.
Much better.
So, Joe, thanks for hopping on. Keith's told us a little bit about what he has coming on tomorrow. What do you got going on?
Yeah. So first, hey, great job today, man. You're a pro. You're looking good, and I watched the show both weeks right from the beginning. Great job. Definitely an asset to the network. So keep up the good work. And you too, Keith, both of you guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, you guys are killing it. So real quick, and then I got to fly. I got a photo shoot shortly. And I just wanted to tell you, Natalie Duncan's on the show tomorrow. She's an R&B, jazz, blues singer, phenomenal. And we're going to crush it tomorrow. So as every Friday, it's good time. Good time.
Good stuff. Well, thanks, guys, for coming on. I will definitely be tuning in tomorrow, and as hopefully all my audience will be. But until then, I'm going to wrap it up and let you guys get to your day.
Hey, you asked one question, though, and within your show, you said, what is one piece of advice you were given when it comes to finance? My father said this when he took a wad of bills out of his pocket. If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it.
Right. Right.
Well, now there's no change, so
I'm sure now they're using credit cards to buy a French fries at McDonald's.
I remember we had the local store where you went down and they kept everything in a ledger. That was like the first credit card type system, and I remember my parents would get a bill because anybody in the family could go do it, and then I'd usually get grounded by the end of the month because I bought the new pair of Jordans or something, and they were not happy with that purchase.
That's hilarious. Hey, listen, have a great day, guys. Bryan, keep up the good work, man. We're spreading the good word. Good things.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. See you guys later.
You got it.
All right, everybody. That does it for this Thursday. Hopefully, I will see you all next week. Where we are going to actually have Turner Walston. He is a property and casualty insurance person here in the state of North Carolina. He's going to tell us a little bit about how you could potentially save on your insurance as well as just things to look out for. So really excited for that. And I will see you all next week. Again, Noble with Bryan every Thursday at 8 a.m.